Tonight on our great American panel, she's a fellow with Project 21, not to be confused with Park 51, that's something else entirely. Fox News contributor Deneen Borelli is here. He's a Democratic pollster, and Fox News contributor Doug Schoen joins us. And she's a political commentator and columnist for Human Events. Jedediah Bila also joins us. This is amazing. We got to start with this. This is the senior intelligence official of the global superpower being asked about the biggest terrorism story of the week. This is Diane Sawyer. Take a look at this.
London. How serious is it? Any implication that it was coming here? Any of the things that they have seen were coming here? Director Clapper.
The arrest of the 12 individuals by the British this morning.
Yes.
This is something that the British informed us about early this morning as it was taking place.
Later in the interview, I came back to the director. Did he really not know?
I was a little surprised you didn't know about London, Director Clapper.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't.
John Brennan, as you could see there, was feeding him lines. And in fact, in the course of the interview said, well, you know, it was a bit ambiguous. She just mentioned London, you know, like he could have been talking about the royal wedding or whatever it was. And eventually, Diane Sawyer, John Brennan then came back today and was still mopping up for the Director of National Intelligence. Here's Brennan again.
I know there was breathless attention by the media about these arrests, and it was constantly on the news networks. I'm glad that Jim Clapper is not sitting in front of the TV 24 hours a day and monitoring what's coming out of the media.
Yeah, that's good news. I don't know what he is doing 24 hours a day, Jedediah. What did you think of that?
I know. I mean, don't you just feel more safe now with these people running the show? I have to say, you know, listen, Diane Sawyer was not asking him some top secret, you know, question. She was asking him something that every average American news watcher would be able to answer. So I think this is unacceptable. I don't want to hear excuses from the administration on this. This is a national security matter, and it's absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah, there was a bit of a deer in the headlamps look to the whole thing.
More than a little bit. Though I think we have to thank heavens for some small favors. The fact that Eric Holder can now be cited for talking about homegrown extremism and an issue we had to watch, I think is a step in the right direction, Mark, however small. And it's pretty rare that anyone here, certainly me, would cite Eric Holder on terrorism, but today he gets the gold star.
Yeah, Eric Holder is morphing into Dick Cheney. He's suddenly butched up and is all
to the good.
Yeah,
all to the good.
Yeah. So
but this is very concerning because, first of all, this is supposed to be the A-team. You know, everyone should be very concerned about this. But he was totally clueless about what Sawyer was talking about. And, you know, the purpose of this whole team, the national security, home security team, is supposed to be to share intelligence. Right. And the way they were all sitting there, they weren't even like talking to each other. It was like they never knew each other. They weren't even collaborating.
No, and this is, as you say, the post-9/11 reorganization, which was to streamline the whole process. This guy is the guy who's at the top of the pyramid, who decides whether or not it's worth informing the Oval Office about this stuff. What I find odd about it is, you know, in the years since 9/11, I talked to President Bush, I talked to various British, Australian prime ministers, other prime ministers, who all said this, they looked at this stuff last thing before they went to bed at night and first thing in the morning. And for some of them, like Tony Blair, that was why their hair had kind of gone grey overnight, because they heard all this scary stuff about something on a Somali ship sailing around the Horn of Africa and nobody knew quite what was on it. This guy, it's his job. Why doesn't he know it?
Yeah, right. I mean, from minute to minute, he should be being briefed on everything that's important. I mean, if we know it, how is it that I know it and he doesn't know it? That's what really scares me.
Mark, to me, there's a larger question here, which is the one you were raising. The coordination of various branches of intelligence services in our government, what the Director of National Intelligence does, what the head of CIA does, what the head of NSA, and all the myriad other agencies in our government.
Do we need all those guys? Because they all sound like different initials for the same job.
Well, it's unclear to me whether we need them, and it's unclear whether they're coordinated, and it's unclear whether the president is getting the kind of briefings he should be.
But if they're not communicating at the top, what's going on at the lower level?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's good. So you think of some field officer, that's right, in, say, Dearborn, Michigan. Does that mean that his memo is going to be getting to the guy in the other agency, in the other alphabet soup acronym on the other side of the country? Yeah.
Who knows what's going on? I mean, I think it's really the hidden issue that we're facing as Americans is who's running the show vis-a-vis terrorism, what are our priority standards and way of operating.
And is it just bureaucratization, or should we be able to do
I was
better?
just going to say, I think this is one of the effects of an overstuffed bureaucracy, where the communication just dies. You don't know how to get, an important message from one person to another,
Right.
and everything just sort of gets lost. But when it comes to national security, we cannot afford this to happen.
And there's apparently 2 million people who have top security clearance.
And again, we haven't answered the question of how can people have top secret security clearance, 2 million of them, and how can that mean anything?
How is
and
it-
what is it?
And that's why the the gay Welshman who downloaded it on his Lady Gaga CD was apparently on that list too.
They can
There's
search our
lots more with
underwear.
our great
Right.
American panel right up.